Welcome to a podcast named Tim. My name is Zach, and as you can see today, we're going to be doing a board game review, our first ever for the channel for Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid. Got the rule book here. Going to give you all just a general overview of what I think of the game, and also play through a couple of rounds just so you can kind of see what the game is all about. I've tried to. This is our first time doing one of these, as I mentioned, and so I've tried to replicate a setup that I've seen from some other much more successful channels that do some board games, and hopefully we've been able to capture everything here in a good fashion so you can really see what the game is about. Please do give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We're going to be doing some other board game reviews, but I'm recording this the eve before Dino Fury debuts. And with that coming out, and with our show's connection to the Power Ranger franchise, it seemed this is the appropriate board game to do first. But again, more going to be coming on the way. A variety of games that I have that I've been wanting to talk about for quite some time. And if there's other games you'd like us to see us discuss, let me know. I'm sure they're probably on my list to buy or play already. And I guess I should just say, the last couple of years I've really gotten into the hobby of board gaming. I've played video games my whole life, but really gotten into board gaming a lot, like the physical presence of the game. And so we're going to hopefully launch this part of the channel and series, and hopefully it'll be successful as everything else has been as well. So we'll go ahead and get right into it. General thoughts, I guess, before I get into it, and then I'll kind of show you how it works. This is, again, Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid. And it is a 2 to 5 cooperative game. Lasts 45 to 60 minutes, the box says. I think it can run a little bit longer than that. I've not had the opportunity to play it cooperatively yet. As you know, with most cooperative games, they work well as solo. And obviously, I'm typically a solo player. With a lot of things, just from time commitment and other things of that nature. And so this is, I've played it solo, and it does work. I think it would be better cooperatively, but it is, generally speaking, it's a good game. I would say we'll hit on the specific points. It could be better. It's not my favorite game, as much as I was hoping it to be. Everything that's in this box, or that you see in front of you, is from the main box, which I think ran me like $70 to $90, something of that nature. The only thing I did splurge on was the dice. I think it was like $10 for these dice that are color-coded for each ranger. I highly recommend doing that. It adds, the normal game comes with these just white dice that aren't. That's not fun. You're playing Power Rangers, you want the game to be fun. You want all your fun colors and everything. But everything else here is just from the main game. I do have the Shattered Grid expansion, but I have not had the opportunity to play that. We'll be doing a review on that at some point. But generally speaking, for the game, you are going to select your ranger. You're going to deploy by deck. I should get into that in a minute. Where the putties. Let's see if I can get that, where the putties and I'll try on both cameras, actually. I don't know where to put these for this camera. You're going to deploy them into different areas of Angel Grove, whether it be Angel Grove High School, Ernie's Juice Bar, the Industrial District, and Angel Grove Park. And then you're going to take your Rangers, move them into those areas, and fight with a deck of cards. Now, the good thing, the best part about this game is, again, I think the theme, it feels like an episode of Power Rangers. I think all of the bits and bops, the bits and pieces are all great. All of your Rangers are color coordinated, of course, and look pretty good. I'll show some of these over here as well, just in case. Again, I don't know how we're going to do this first one. Just trying to figure out what works. And I do not have Jason in this game. When you play solo, you're typically going to only use 4 Rangers. So each Ranger feels different, which is great. If you're wanting to play, they all have different skills. Each card, I'll show you Jason's card, since that is the one I'm not playing with. Each Ranger has a specific card with all the nice artwork on the back, where they have their own power that they have that they can implement either once per turn or once per battle, and they each have their own deck that is much. They're very different in how they play. Trini has a deck that is much more. It's just a general look at some of the cards and how they look. Has a deck that is much more combo based, very fast hits. You can kind of add them up. Zach's deck right here, again, just some general look at it, has it's much more about attacking like adjacent, widespread damage. Billy's deck is a lot about not using a lot of energy, and he, which is an important part of the game we'll get into here in a minute, but it's about just kind of conserving energy, and I would say some support. And I don't know how I would classify Kimberly's. It's a lot of focused on kind of building up to a big hit. You can aim and then kind of fire your bow, and there's also a lot of low energy attacks in there. So they each have their own unique design and build. Jason's deck is much more definitely support, leadership based, trying to make sure everyone else is ready to go for battle and kind of making their attacks stronger. So I like the fact that everyone's different. They each also have a Zord. I just dropped a piece, but that's okay. The Zord that you're going to go through in the game. I forgot to put this one at the bottom. And as you collect these, you're going to be able to use those powers as well in order to enhance and make yourself stronger. You collect them basically for every 6 enemies you defeat. There's like a tracker over here. For every 6 enemies you defeat, you put them on here, and you get a token, or you get one of the cards at that point. I have never gotten to the Megazord. I've gotten to about 4 or 5 Zords. I don't think I've ever won a game of this. That would be one big negative. I think it's a very hard game, especially for a theme that is so inviting, because everyone knows Power Rangers. So I feel like it'd be an easy gateway game to get into for a lot of people, but it is a challenging game. There's a lot going on. I don't think it's rules heavy necessarily, but it is definitely a challenge. You're constantly feeling on the edge as far as being able to lose. The first round's kind of fine because it's just putties, but after that, or it can still be super putties, but the first round's fine. After that, it takes it up a notch, and you feel like you're just kind of trying to bail out of the water and not drown at every moment. But it's like I said, it's very hard, and that would be my one big down. So I'm trying to think if there's any other big negatives. I love the artwork. I love the fact that Rangers feel different. I think it's a little long. My only criticism against the theme and the length is you have to defeat 2 villains. The game comes with 4 villains and Rita at the end. I would have preferred maybe just 1 villain and then making them a little bit stronger, like when they grow in the show, to defeat them. I should say, I think I mentioned it earlier, I do have the Shattered Grid version of the game as well that adds some more villains and stuff. There's a ton of expansions. If you get into this game, there's enough material out there that you will be satisfied. There's plenty out there to buy and play with. More monsters, more rangers, more villains, more everything, and it's all completely modular. You can pick up and add everything to it, so that is not an issue. That's pretty much my general thoughts. I don't know if it's worth the price. If you're a really diehard Ranger fan, sure, it's fun to have because then you kind of get to live out being a Power Ranger, going around and fighting the bad guys. But I don't know. It would be a tough sell for me. I want to get one cooperative play in with some people just to see if my inability to understand the rules is just me, because sometimes I struggle with them a little bit and remembering some things. But overall, it's beautiful and thematic, and I think those are the 2 biggest positives I would say. So with that being said, let's go ahead. I'm going to run through kind of a quick couple rounds just to show you kind of how the game functions. One other big negative I forgot to mention, as you can see, to me, this game takes up way too much board space or table space for the board. Um, have fully set up that I normally would, so that is a little much. Um, with that being said, though, we're going to go ahead we're playing a two-player game essentially for solo, and the rules are a little bit different from that. What you're going to do is you're going to shuffle two Rangers decks together, and they kind of become a unit. I like this mode of the game because it does allow for a bigger hand of cards. It's a little bit more forgiving, and it allows you to have a little bit more fun because you have more at your disposal. These decks are only 10 cards each for each ranger, and they are your life. When you run out of cards, you get knocked out. That is one of the ways you can lose. If all the rangers get knocked out umpteen times, you have like lives essentially in the middle of the game, and that's one way you can lose. The other way you can lose is if all of the areas become flooded. There's a number on each card that says, or each area, and I'll show you one of these. We'll show you the juice bar. So as you can see, if there's this many putties there, or villains just in general, that's bad, and this is now a panicked area. If all the areas become panicked, then you lose. There's also a harder version of the game if you want to flip them over on the other side and play that variant. But I can't even beat the base game, essentially, so probably not for me. The big thing about this game is you're managing a lot of your time. You have limited moves, and you have these little energy tokens that you have to spend in order to do your attacks. No energy, no attacks. No attacks, you're going to get beat up. And no cards, you are beat up. That's pretty much the simplest way to say it. So we're going to go ahead and start doing this. The first thing you're going to do, I'll draw my cards here in a minute, but is the deployment phase. And when that happens, you're going to draw a card from this deck. It has a kind of an area you're going to go to. You don't look at the one that you draw. It's the next one on the deck. And so you see I'm supposed to put one Putty Patroller, and it's for the next card is Angel Grove High. So that is where they're going to go. We're going to send one Putty Patroller to Angel Grove High. And you do this 5 times. You draw the 5 cards. So we're going to send 3 Super Putty Patrollers to the Industrial District. And the issue that I have also, and something I run into, maybe someone knows, I've come close to, and this is normally when I'm about to lose the game, I have run out of people for a certain area, or for a certain, like, either putties or super putties, and I didn't know what to do at that point because a lot of these are 3, and I didn't want to bore you with what I'm doing for all these, so I'm just getting this set up. But I didn't know what to do when when that happened because I was like, I'm out of things. Okay, so we have set up essentially a first section here. When you start the game off, you shuffle this deck up that I just drew from. You put your 2 monsters in here, and Rita as well. You're supposed to put them in like little sections of 5 cards apiece, and then put them in there. So you have like 4 different 5-card decks. I typically just put all the villains at the very back of each one, so it gives me a little bit more time and leeway to play. But the area of Angel Grove High is now panicked. That is where the bad guys have focused their attack, and we are now going to put one of these lovely panic tokens on there in order to show that let me try it over here too, just in case. I don't even know if this camera is still functioning at this point. And so what we're going to do now, that's the deployment phase. That is phase 1 of playing the game. I need to grab the rule book just to make sure we're not missing anything, because I wouldn't want to be telling you the wrong things. So next is the action phase, and in this phase, basically, this is where you are going to go out and move and beat up the bad guys, or move and get ready to take up the bad guys. You have several actions you can take on a turn. I don't want to miss any, but it is move, very obvious. Move to a section. You can battle, which means you're going to initiate a battle. You can recover, which allows you to refill your deck with some cards. The interesting thing about that is, and let me show you that, is you can only do up to 6 shields. And so if you see on these cards, on the bottom here, they have shields. These are what you use for defense when you get attacked. However devastating attack is, if you have like if they do 3 damage and there's a 3 there, you can take damage essentially. But when you try and get cards back out of your discard pile and you recover, you can only take up to 6 shields. So I couldn't take this. I couldn't take all the 3 of these cards. I could only take these 2 or 2 of the 3. So obviously I'm going to be depleting my cards as the game goes on. So you're going to end up with less cards at the end of the game, probably when you're going to need them the most against Rita. Like I said, a hard game. So we're going to move, battle, and recover. Those are the 3 things we can do. You have a set number of actions that you can take based on how many players are playing. These are your action tokens, just so you can kind of remember when you do an action. You flip it on the other side, and it shows that you've taken an action. We are playing, like I said, a 2-player game, so I've given myself 3 actions. And the other thing we've done is, that's different for a 2-player game, we have 2 kind of universal actions in the command center, which is in the center of the deck or the board. And typically you would have more energy there that kind of counts as your lives. But for a 2-player game, you have these actions where you can take them and recover everyone, essentially. Replenish them, actually, it's a different word, where you kind of fully get back all your energy and your cards. Also, I should say, when you're moving around, if you ever move back into the command center, you fully stock up energy and cards. It's kind of a way to reset, so that is helpful. But again, it takes a full move action to do that. So that's pretty much the main thing you're going to do. After that, after the battle, I'll show you next what we're going to be doing. We resolve the battle. At that point, we're kind of playing our cards, and I'll show you how that works. And that's the main focus of the game. And you kind of keep going at this until you either win or lose. Again, the only way to win is to defeat both of the villains. I've picked them at random, so I don't know what monsters we're going to be using. And Rita. In order to defeat a villain, they have 4 cards when they come out, and you're going to have to defeat all 4. And it could take up to 2 turns to do that. And with Rita, it's 6. You can only fight 4 cards on a turn, so it is definitely going to take 2 battles. Just grab these real quick. So the villains that are in the game, again, the base game, you have the Black Knight, Madame Woe, Bones, let me not hold his sword there, and Pudgy Pig, which we have done. If you've never checked out the channel, I'm going to show these over here as well. We have Power Ranger, Mighty Morphin reviews, and Beast Morphin reviews currently. By the time you see this, probably Dino Fury as well. We do monster ratings as well as episode reviews, and we have rated all of these monsters. So if you want to know which of these monsters we think is the strongest and the best and the coolest or the worst, you can check out some of those videos. They are on the channel. We've rated all of those monsters already. So let's go ahead and get into this. So what we're going to do is, I'm just kind of thinking out loud, and I'll show you again how the battle works. We're going to go ahead and try and attack this main area where there are 5 people. So we're going to move. When it's a 2-player game, your teamed up people move as a team, so it only counts 1 action, which is great. So again, flipping over, we're going to move everyone over here. Just big old battle happening. And we're going to draw my deck of cards. We can have 7 in our hand for a match. And this is why it's kind of hard to do as a co-op game or for a single player as opposed to other co-op games. I think it's hard to manage these hands. I know typically when you play co-ops as a single player or solo, you're going to be managing multiple hands anyway. But I think for this game, because these decks are so unique, I think it's a little bit of a challenge. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you do not have to draw all of you can draw up to 7. You don't have to have 7. because obviously this is your life, and you need these cards over here for defense. So 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, I'll do 6 each, just so I kind of have some leeway. So the way this battle is going to work is, again, I have my cards, and as you can see, I have a mix of Billy and Kimberly, because we've mixed the decks for a 2-player game, and a mix of Zach and Trini. And so we are going to draw, or you basically put out 4. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 monsters. When there are more than 5, you can pick 4 to fight. Again, you can fight no more than 4 in one particular battle. The monsters, or the bad guys, I guess, have their own little special decks of stuff. So we're going to fight 1 Super Putty Patroller. So this is the back of their card, and they each have their own little powers that they do. You will always go first in a battle unless it says the word fast on the card, and that means they go first. And you can attack any of these cards. As you can see, they have the amount of damage they would do on the card, or excuse me, their health, and then their special power. You need to do that much damage to get rid of it. If a card says guard on it, you cannot attack any card that's adjacent to it until you defeat that card. And so we're going to just put these over here, and then we're going to pick 3 Putty Patrollers. And this is what their cards look like, I guess, just for reference. Here's the Putty Patroller card. So there's this one. And I'll put this over here just as well. Hopefully that is in some kind of camera view. So 3, 4. Okay. So one of these has a passive power, which is, as you can see, something that happens. This one says, while this card is in play, each time another enemy card deals damage, increase that damage by 1. So that's something we're going to want to get rid of first. Basically the cards, the enemy cards, you go down the line, you put them in a line, and you go down that line to in their attack order. Essentially, you can attack anywhere unless, again, there's a guard card that's out there. None this time, so we are fine. And who's going to initiate the battle? We're going to have Kimberly and Billy initiate the battle. Don't know why, haven't even looked at these cards, but we're going to have them initiate the battle. So they, let's get into their powers that each ranger specifically has, just so you have an idea of the feel of why they are different. So Kimberly's special power is called Quick Shot. At the start of each battle, you may deal 1 damage to your card of choice, which is great. Billy, once per battle, a ranger of your choice may draw 1 card and then place 1 card from their hand back on top of their deck. So that's helpful. Zach Taylor is Hip Hop Keto is the name of his power, and basically if you defeat an enemy, you can deal 1 damage to an adjacent enemy. And Trini's is Double Strike. If you have 2 of the same card, you can play them back to back, essentially this at the same time. So again, more of a combo focused thing there. We are going to go ahead and do these lovely little tokens. There's lots of little tokens of bits. Not that bad compared to some other games. I have Scythe and Everdell, and what else do I have in there right now? I've been buying up a lot of stuff recently. Firefly the board game, and I think those have a lot more bits than this, but it has a decent amount. So 1 damage. We're going to do it to the passive attack. That just immediately is our thing, and now we're going to spin. I forgot to get energy and mention that. At the beginning of each battle, you get like a community pool of energy to use to do battle. Each ranger can hold up to 1 energy token that I showed you earlier, and then there's a communal pot of 3 that we can use. And once you need those to do battle, that resets every battle. So with Kimberly and Billy, let's see, we're going to do, with arrow shot, counter jab, we're going to do, counter jab, which is doesn't cost any energy, so that's great. If this card is revealed for defense, you can deal 1 damage on any card. It is not, but we're going to go ahead and use it because it doesn't cost any energy, and I get to roll a dice and then do +1 damage. Now, the way these dice work are, that's a miss, that's a hit, and that is 2 hits. So you can do up to 2 damage on a dice, and I'll put that here as well, just to kind of... so this time I'm only rolling 1 dice. So I did 8 damage, plus I get to do 1 more damage. So this is kind of where your accounting takes into effect. Again, I'm just going to dump these all out so it's easier to do. I did 2 damage. I guess I'm going to go ahead and say those to the passive person, so they are done. When the card gets out, you flip it over, and so it's typically going to be looking at this so you know what the power is. When it's done, you're going to flip it over like this so you know you've defeated that enemy. What's great is if you can get ahead of the cycle of turns that are happening for the people you're fighting, they still take a turn. It's just they skip their turn, essentially. It's a blank turn for them if you're able to defeat someone else that is already before they can get to them. And then once you defeat them, take a person, put it on the little tracker, and with that, you're now 1 step closer to getting a Zord. And again, that did not cost any energy. So let's see. We're going to use... The good thing is, once you get into the battle, there's not really any turns. If this person has a better hand, they can take all the turns. If this person does, they can. It's just as long as you have the energy, it kind of becomes a communal strategy on who's going to take the turn, who's got the best way, who can, what can we set up. But that's where the turn sequence kind of shuts down in some respects, in a good way. It becomes just figure out the best way to defeat these guys. So let's see, we have 2 of the same, but is it something good? It's a reaction card, which is something that you're going to use. If something happens to you, you can react to it. We're going to do Mammoth Slam. Again, I like not using a lot of energy, especially early in the game. Why? I don't know. It doesn't really matter. It resets each time, but that's just my philosophy here. So Mammoth Slam by 0. And this is what I'm talking about the board and the issues with space. You have to have different discard piles. You have to have the enemies and set up their stuff, and it just kind of gets to be a lot. But we're going to roll 2 dice. It says if there are 4 or more cards in your discard pile, add 1 to the die. I should have waited on that, but we're just going to go ahead and do it anyway, just for the sake of the game. So, 1 hit. And so we're meant to do that to... Oh, wait. My bad. It should have been the bad guy's turn. 3 damage from the bad guys. And this is what I'm talking about. Sometimes so when their turn goes, you just flip it on its side, and that's how you know that they have gone. So they should have done 3 damage. We're going to say Zach took that damage. That's why he attacked him this turn. And I'm going to go ahead and draw the card I would have. So it's 2, so I have to draw another card because of that. So now we're finally done. I can keep this card because I've been able to surpass the amount of damage I would have taken. And he goes back on the bottom of the deck. But we're still doing that turn. We're still going to attack him for being a jerk and attacking us. And we're going to deal 1 damage to them. And this kind of just goes back and forth until you're able to defeat a group of people. Let's see if I can show you if there's anything else we need to show you or talk about here. I don't think so. I don't want to eat up too much of your time because I'm sure you have plenty of other things to do. But just want to make sure you got an idea and sense of what the game looks like and plays like. Generally speaking, that is everything you need to know in the game. I'm sure I'm missing a lot. But at the end of this turn, we would just go sequentially down through the villains and then try and defeat as many as we could and put them over there. And then we would draw 5 more villains and bring them out and try not to get everywhere panicked. We'll go ahead and finish this turn and try and get... Well, no, this is probably a good spot to start. Again, this is our first board game review here, so figuring out what the best way to do these are. I think that's where we're going to stop. If you'd like to see a full playthrough, I'd be happy to do that. I just know that takes a long time. It's like I said, it's a 45 minutes, 60-minute game, and we're already at about a half hour, and I'm sure you don't want to hear me keep blabbing on about this. So if you would like to see one of those or more in-depth discussion of the Rangers and how they differ and just anything about the game or Shattered Grid review, let me know. It should show you some of the cards real quick here for the villains, and that'll be the last thing. I'll just pick the Pudgy Pig because he's on top. So the villains have these cards right here. Again, you're going to draw 4 of them, and see, as you can see, there's a lot of the villains have. I will say, when you're fighting them, they have a lot of those fast cards, so they're going to be going first. Creates a lot of urgency. It shows how much more powerful they are, and it puts you on your heels. So again, thematically very good there. That's pretty much it. Just want to thank you for checking this out. I hope you appreciated this video. If there's things we can improve, certainly let us know. And with that being said, we'll see you here next time on a podcast named Tim with more board game reviews, more Star Wars discussions, more Power Rangers reviews, and more movie reviews, and more other fun things. So see you next time on a podcast named Tim.